In today's training, I really want to talk to you about the rise of the conscious man. Now, this is due to the fact that we are constantly going through an evolution as humans. And the evolution that is happening right now, that is becoming more and more clear as we go throughout these last couple of months, is the rise of consciousness. People are becoming more aware, people are becoming more spiritual, more tapped in to who they truly are. Now, I want to share with you my view on this whole scenario because I think that there's a dramatic shift that's going to happen rapidly over these next couple of years. And I want you to be a part of it. I want you to be updated. And I want to share my view on it based on the people that I've worked with, the mentors that I've had the pleasure of getting lessons from that have really helped me formulate this in a way that makes sense. Because I personally feel like I've been going through multiple different spiritual awakenings over these last couple of months, specifically as I have dove deeper into these ideas and concepts. So I hope to bring this to you with the hopes that it will help you too as well, because I think that there's a dramatic change happening and we need more conscious men to really be able to tap into this and really serve at the highest level when it comes to business, when it comes to sales, when it comes to content creation, and really help pave the way to this new era that we're stepping into. So for this to really make sense, I'm going to reference a book called Power versus Force by a guy called David Hawkins. I'm going to throw it up here on screen. You'll be able to see the map of consciousness. This is a map of consciousness that shows the levels that we operate at from an emotional state on a day-to-day basis. And if you notice at the bottom here, it's really based around fear, it's based around lack, it's based around guilt and shame and low-level emotions that keep us stuck. And if you look at the higher levels, you'll look at things like responsibility, integrity, love, peace, and all those things. And this is the shift that I'm talking about. People are becoming more aware. People are moving out of fear. People are becoming more aware of who they truly are and improving themselves in such a way where they're actually opening up new pathways in their mind to be able to tap into higher frequencies and connect to source, whether that's God for you, whether you could believe in the universe, whatever your beliefs are. My goal in this video is just to share kind of my perspective around it based on your beliefs. You will be able to receive whatever you're meant to receive from this video. So if we look at this diagram here, this is the kind of shift that I'm talking about when it comes to 3D to 5D. So I got this information from a mentor of mine, Rhett, really helped formulate this in a way that made sense to me. So I want to share with you in this video as well. So you'll see as we reference the graphic that I just shared with you on screen, this is the same that's happening in the world. So over the last 10 years or so, the predominant state of the world has been in a state of fear, has been in a state of guilt and shame and low level emotions, and people not believing in themselves and people not seeing that they are actually powerful, and people following these kind of gurus online to be able to find some sort of guidance, right? If we look at Andrew Tate, for example, or people who are big in the self-improvement space, the world is looking for guidance. The world is looking for mentors to be able to take them to a new way of thinking. Our natural calling in life as humans is to seek guidance so that we can raise our levels of consciousness. We want to expand as humans, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. And we may mistake this for chasing things like cars and material things and financial freedom and all those things. And that may seem to be the thing that we're chasing on the surface. But what we're really chasing is deep connection to who we truly are at the source. And this is what the natural evolution is. So when we look to these mentors and we try to find this type of guidance, this is really what we're doing at the core. We're trying to move out of these low-level emotions so that we can stop feeling fear and we can start stepping into things like love. We can stop feeling lack and we can start stepping into things like abundance. And one of the ways I reference this is going from self-improvement to self-mastery, which is more on the energetic side, the more connection to source. As more people start to improve themselves, this natural evolution to self-mastery will happen, and will happen over these next couple of years, because there's a lot of people doing this already as well. So I want to give you some examples in the marketplace in terms of business and sales and all these things, so we can really start to see what I'm talking about when it comes to this evolution. So when we look at fear and guilt and shame and these low-level emotions that are in the 3D world, and by the way, 3D means the 3D physical reality that we live in right now. 4D is another level of consciousness. 5D is another level of consciousness, and we're tapping into things like the quantum realm. We're tapping into things like the spiritual plane that we can't see with our conscious eye, but we can see it in our minds, in our imagination, right? So if you're familiar with subconscious mind reprogramming, or people like talking about the law of attraction or talking about manifestation, this is all very true, and this is what these higher levels are really, really talking about. And more people are becoming aware of the possibility behind this. So if your skepticism alarm is going off right now and you're thinking that this is complete BS, just stick with me. All I invite you to do is keep an open mind with all of these different things, and whatever is true for you is true for you. So I'm not trying to change your opinion. I'm not trying to shift your beliefs here or anything. I just want to simply share this in the hopes that it serves you in a great way, okay? So when we look at marketing overall, people usually market to pain points. They market to people who are in fear, who are in scarcity. If you want to stop being broke and you want to start being rich, you need to buy my thing. If you want to stop being fat and you want to start being fit, you need to buy my thing. This is how marketing has always worked. And if we look at marketing tactics overall, and you look at any program that's out there, it talks about these specific things. Now, I'm not saying that these things are wrong, but there's been a shift in consciousness. There's been an evolution that has happened where people aren't resonating with these things as much anymore, right? We're almost feeling a little bit uncomfortable when we get marketed to in such a way where we're feeling like we're being shamed for the things that we're struggling with. I know that that's definitely the case for me. And for working with mentors who are doing incredibly well financially and really understanding that their marketing is very, very different, it just proves that there's a shift happening. So what I mean by this is that instead of going from focusing on people's pain points, you're actually focused on aspirations. You're actually focused on where are people going? Who are they actually becoming in this journey as they evolve? They may not consciously understand what is happening, but they are connecting to those people in a different way. And this is where you start to attract higher quality clients because they are more tapped in. They're not in scarcity and fear. They're actually trying to move out of that, or maybe they're already moved out of that to a higher level of consciousness. Hopefully that's kind of making sense so far. If we look at selling or high ticket sales, the same process is happening, right? If we look at any sales training out there, it's going to talk about you need to follow the script. You need to make sure that you have objections that are ready to be handled. You need to be able to understand how to speak in a certain way that guides someone on a journey of making a buying decision. And it's a lot of it over the last number of years has been very like high pressure sales tactics. Now, of course, this still works. I'm not saying that these things don't work, but I'm saying that there is a different way because the world is waking up. Because when you think about it, when you're speaking to people who are in fear and guilt and low level emotions, you are speaking to people in survival, right? So you're speaking to people in survival. And when you're speaking to people in survival, you have to speak to them in such a way where you have to talk to them where they are. Because if they're in fear, it means you have to speak to that and help guide them out of that, okay? When you're speaking to people here, it's more about you're speaking to their rational self. You're speaking to more like, where's the case studies? Where's the roadmap? Where is the step-by-step process so they can rationally make a decision? And this is where a lot of business owners spend their time, because this is the rational self. This is where we look at a bunch of case studies, we look at a bunch of videos, we look at a bunch of testimonials, or we look at these different things and we're like, okay, this roadmap makes sense. But there's another level out there as well, which is the higher self. The higher self is tapping into our intuition. And when we tap into our intuition, we're speaking to a different type of person. We're not speaking to someone who's very rational and looking at the logistics of things. We're not looking at someone who is stuck in fear or survival. We're talking to someone who is energetically connected and intuitive. And we all have intuition to varying degrees. We're able to tap into it. And it depends where you're currently at when it comes to tapping into your intuition. When you're speaking to someone who is intuitive, they are just looking for, is this an energetic match? Is this something that feels right? Is this something that feels in alignment? And this is the connection to source. This is the connection to whatever it is that you believe in that is calling you to do this certain thing or move in this certain direction. I'll give you a personal example. Over the last number of years, I've been doing my best to balance the masculine and the feminine energy within me, which is, masculine is like the massive action, the decisiveness, and everything that comes with that. The feminine is more trusting your intuition, right? The guiding light, the connection to source, whatever that means for you. And balancing those two is where you've reached true power. And over the last week or so, I had a call with a guy who was a business coach and also doing some mindset work. And I wanted to have a conversation, see what he was doing, and potentially even invest in the services. Now, for me, I'm a very intuitive person. Naturally, I've been able to tap into that a lot. And I was able to pick up his energy throughout the call. Now, of course, he was giving me a lot of great information. He was giving me a lot of, great insights and tactics and strategies, which were extremely helpful. And I'm extremely grateful for that. But there was something off energetically. There was something off in terms of the match in energetics. So I did not go ahead with it. I didn't really care about the page of testimonials. I didn't really care about the reviews and all these things. I barely even looked at them because I know that these testimonials and case studies have nothing to do with me. Like there are different people with different scenarios and different lives that they're living, and they have nothing to do with who I am. This is the slight difference when it comes to, if you're an intuitive person, you're speaking to an intuitive person, you have to be aware that those things that may work for other people may not actually work for those types of people. So it's also about understanding who you are and also who you're speaking to. Always comes back to knowing thyself. And I'm definitely not saying either that being intuitive or being more rational is better or worse. There's simply varying degrees of both. And we can tap into every single one of these at any given time because we're human beings. We can travel up and down the scale as we see fit. So we have to be aware that there's no better or worse here. We're not saying that. We're not saying you have to be intuitive and that's the right way to go. There's no right or wrong, only right for you. Okay, so it's just good to kind of understand these things and understand the different degrees, because whether you're selling yourself and you're speaking to those types of people, or you're being sold to, you want to understand yourself so you can see, is this a good match or not? So we kind of went to the sidetrack there, but I wanted to explain that to you so you can see the difference in the sales and marketing and how this relates to the shift that is happening. So if we jump back here for a sec, you'll see the transition from force over to power. And there's a massive difference between these two things. I'm not going to try and explain David Hawking's book, Power versus Force, in this specific video. I would definitely recommend to go and check that book out. It's going to change your life. We'll talk all about how consciousness works and everything that we're discussing here. I would definitely go ahead and reference that book. But really what we're looking at here, if we reference everything that we just talked about, is that the force is these lower levels down here. It's being in survival. It's being stuck in fear. It's making decisions out of fear. It's having fear and guilt and shame being the core driver of all of our decision making. That's the difference. Power, from the other hand, is moving with intention, is moving with a sense of certainty within yourself, the alignment for you, for your purpose. And the thing is, we can take massive action and we can have success from both places, but it comes back to the emotion that's actually fueling the work in the first place. So if you have big goals and aspirations that you're moving towards, which I imagine you do if you're watching this video, then there's two ways you can do it. You can do it through pure force and you can make life really difficult for yourself, or you can do it from a place of power. Now, if we look at the scale of emotions, down here is where force is. We're coming from a place of fear. We want to make money because we're afraid of being broke. We want to make money because we're afraid that people won't like us if we don't have money, or we won't get acceptance from the world if we don't have money. That's where fear comes from. That's the core emotion driving all of the action. One of the big lessons that I've learned from people who are doing incredibly well financially, spiritually, emotionally, is that a lot of them in the beginning were driven by fear. They were driven by, feeling guilty of being broke. And when all of your actions are coming from that emotion, it doesn't matter how much money you make, that emotion doesn't go away, because that emotion was the emotion manifesting that result. You can create that result from that emotion, but when you get to that point, it's not going to change anything, because the low level emotion is still there fueling your every action. And that's the thing. So the other way to look at it is a place of power. When you are taking action from a place of purpose, calling, alignment, and everything that you do is from that higher level emotion that we're talking about up here, all of your actions, behaviors, habits, and everything that you do takes on a whole new level of conviction. It changes everything. It changes your perspective on the world. It changes the people that you serve. It changes the vibrational state that you're in. And if you look at any person who you are really drawn to or attracted to, they're probably embodying one of these states. They're either telling you to move from a place of force, or they're telling you to move from a place of power. Personally, on this channel, I will always talk about moving from a place of power, because not only do we want to have massive success in life, financially, spiritually, emotionally, have location freedom, travel the world, and do all the amazing things that life has to offer, drive supercars, get an amazing house. I'm all about that. But I want to do it from a place of neutrality and acceptance and light and wisdom, and I don't want to be driven by fear. So the internal mastery is where this comes in. When you start to master your emotions, master your mindset, and really switch the actual core emotion that is driving you in the first place, that's when you can step into power. And this is the one thing, the biggest thing that I want you to take away from this video, because there is people out there who will tell you that you just need to grind harder, you need to work harder, do whatever it takes, and no matter how you feel, you show up anyway. Of course, like we said, that can work if that's the way you want to go, 100%, but that's coming from a place of force. It usually is. It's coming from a place of force. And this is the thing that nobody is talking about, because you can have the choice to do it both ways and you can achieve whatever you want, but you actually get to choose the emotion that actually fuels it. Do you want to have financial success no matter what it takes, no matter how you feel, no matter what emotions are driving your work? You may think that, yeah, that's something I definitely want to do because I don't see any other way. That's what I've been told to do by mentors or business people out there. That's totally fine. You can absolutely do that. There's no judgment here. It's whatever you want to do. Or do you want to come from a place of power, which is like, I can achieve all this financial abundance in my life, but I can also come from an emotional state where I'm dialed in. I'm confident truly within myself. I'm coming from a place of love and peace, and I'm doing the best I can to serve the greater good of humanity because I am becoming conscious. I am more conscious, so I can achieve the same things in life, but I'm just not coming from a place of fear. I'm not coming from a place of lack. I'm not looking for attention. I'm not looking for people's validation because I validate myself, because I've done the internal mastery and it doesn't matter to me what people think of me. I just express my truth no matter what. And that's what is an alignment for me. There's two different ways you can look at it. So really what I want to do is just challenge you to think about it from a couple of different ways. Like, what do you really want? And it always comes back to what you want. Always comes back to what life do you want to lead. Always comes back to what is your purpose? What is your calling? And how can you align that with having the financial success and having the spiritual success and having the time and location and financial freedom and whatever it is that you want to have, the supercars, the houses, the beautiful wife, the beautiful partner, whatever it is for you. How can you do that from a place of internal mastery and true confidence and authenticity within yourself. I think that is the real win. And that is what this shift is about, because the world is waking up to this. So we're going from a place of 3D up to 4D, up to 5D, and there's 12 dimensions in this whole entire universe, but that's something that we'll talk about in different videos as we go deeper on that. I'm not very familiar with the 12th dimension. I'm just focused on 5D right now. This is enough for me. But all this stuff, I hope it's been really, really helpful for you, because this has been a dramatic shift in my mind over these last couple of days specifically. And I believe that this is a massive change that's happening in the world, and we're going to need more conscious men to help pave the way for this change that's happening, and tap into these things like power, and tap into these things like mastery, and tap into these things like love, and tap into these things like pure abundance, and not just being driven by ego and validation and all of these different things that we see online on the majority of accounts and channels on social media. So I want to leave you with this thought. Which one do you want? Do you want to come from a place of force, or do you want to come from a place of power? And it really is up to you, because at the end of the day, we're all on this unique journey. We're all going through our own things. We all have these different lessons to learn at different points in our life. And my journey is completely different to yours, and yours is completely different to somebody else's. And we can't compare ourselves because it's completely unique to us. So I would challenge you to think about that. Which one do you want to go through? And if you're really looking to go deeper on some of these things, I think you'll enjoy this video right here. Thanks for being here. Hope this was helpful. I'll see you there.